Hey, chat, how we doing tonight? I have actually done a little bit of editing on this project off stream, and more specifically, I've just readjusted the building sizes to be a little bit more consistent with real world proportions. And while that isn't necessarily the way one would go about this, um, I just basically took reference image well, I say reference images. I basically just searched up the correct heights and widths for everything. So just quickly put that back and there you go. Alright, so what have I changed? I've shortened the roofs on the houses so they're 2 times the height of the doors. And what's prompted that is images like this one, which isn't what I'm aiming for, but there was a particular image which is not on this board. But more often than not, the doors are about twice the, like, basically half the height of the original wall. So if is there an image here that shows this, or am I going to have to find one off the internet again? I might have to. But, okay, I don't have an image directly here, so slide to Paris, because that was what I used for the search results. Okay, so like in the concept art here, you can't even really see it all that well. So the door here is actually 3/4 of the height of the wall here. But if you look at an in-game screenshot, so these ones here, the doors are about half the height of the entire wall. Like it seems to be roughly half to 3/4 of the height, and I can work with that. But the point today is not to deal with the sizing, it's to make assets. So, first asset I should probably make is windows and doors, perhaps? Or maybe walls might be a better pick. Yeah, I'm thinking walls may be a better pick here. So, I'm gonna shift A, plane. What a weird angle I've got this going at. I think it's 35 degrees. Yeah, looks about right. That and move that along so it's in the correct spot. So the rough height and width of these is going to be okay. So I do have this here, and this is what I was using to measure a regular house size. I'm fairly confident that this is correct, so I'm going to grab this and just chuck it here for a moment. There. So the question is, what size do I want these? Probably 4 meters, so I'll just double the size of that. So if I grab that, and now this should be 3 across from the looks of it. Okay, it's almost 3 across. So as long as I maybe make this slightly wider, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm just looking at the screenshots again. And I think 3 wall segments across is roughly the standard sizing for this type of thing. Okay, so it seems like Slide 3 has 2 wall units across, while Slide 2 has 3 wall units across. So, more or less, I can just mix and match in this case. So, I'll probably just rename this. I'm going to make this be house size. And this is actually separate from that thing, so I don't have to worry about it. Move that to the regular scene collection. I'm going to move these. So move into a new collection. And these are going to be bounce markers. So I can sort out my thing a bit better. What are these planes? Okay, these are... So this is a door. Door size. And that for now. These. And then this is going to be... Alright, let's work on this thing. So I'm going to Alt-R this. X. I'm going to apply the rotation on this so I don't get any ill effects. Alright, that's the front of it. And now, what to do first? I did attempt to do plaster last time, but I wasn't too effective at it. And I do actually have a brick wall that I still need to figure out what I'm doing there. But for the moment, I think I'm going to probably check my notes would be a smart first step. Oh, right, the thing is like that. So, where are my notes? I have to figure out where the hell they are. So if I empty out the collection, I can't see anything. Why can I not see anything? Did all of my notes just disappear? Alt. No. Shift S and then use origin. So for whatever reason, I cannot see my notes. That is not what I would want to have happen. So size comp define is actually just the map confines that I need to get out of the way. But yeah, my notes are all gone. What the hell happened? Weird. Did I move off? Ah, here we go. So for whatever reason, I think I might have just skipped forward a frame. So if I lock all of these, and I think that's for the ruler, so I don't care. Now, I did say brick and concrete for this. I think maybe adding in a wooden wall or two might also be helpful. So just like wooden planks that go downwards, perhaps. Not unlike the walls in episode 8. Like the plaster design in especially 3 is very basic. But like compared to 2, like 2 has a lot more detail in the generic walls. So I guess it has at least 2 different assets for each one. Which makes sense. Like, the only one that's not truly basic is probably, like, episode 2 of Slide 2. Or, sorry, episode 3, rather. Where, pretty much everything is made of really janky bricks. Alright, so, I'll just hide that for the time being. Now, this thing. If I click on shading, is this thing gonna crash? No. Oh, thank goodness. Alright, so... let's make this a... I could give this another swing at the concrete texture. I do... Okay, so, like, admittedly, I took a photo earlier. I was out at lunch, and I realized that the wall that I was facing while I was eating lunch was a concrete one, so I have taken a photo of that. But I don't think it's going to be enough in this case. Do concrete anyway. Okay, so we already have, like, concrete wall on that. So, the first thing that comes to mind is noise. Noise texture. And this is mostly for the detail in the, like, indented portions of the concrete. So I really need to bring the scale down on this. I'm going to 4D these as well, just to make sure that I've got a good amount of detail. So I'm going to set the roughness all the way up. Do I need distortion? Probably not, actually. I will set the detail all the way up though. So this is going to be the basis for the basically chipped away parts of the wall. Now I need to add a... that is not working. Why is it not working? Voronoi, I believe. Voronoi texture. Oh right, Control Shift. Control T? It's Control T. Why is the circuit music playing again? To make sure that it's vectored. And then... Actually, is Voronoi the one that I want here? I think Voronoi is the correct one. It's just I'm having some issues with, for whatever reason, it's just not doing the funny swirl thing. I could do another noise texture on top of it. Alright, let's smooth F on this. And then add in a ramp. Okay. Roughness. I don't know what the roughness setting is supposed to do. The influence of Voronoi layer relative to that of the previous layer. I have no idea what the hell that means. What I do want is for it to be more wobbly. So I wonder if I mix a noise texture into this one. And then actually, isn't there like a... Yeah. I was like, wasn't there a thing that allowed you to mix them together? There is. Right, move these along. So I want these to... Probably multiply in this case? I need to, like, really set the scale to be more... or less scaled, rather. So I want it to be, like, really wobbly, more or less. Is there any way to do that? Honestly, okay, I don't know why I didn't use the Manhattan texture for the stars in my Spyro project, but I should probably think about that next time. Like, Chebychev or Manhattan would be an excellent way to do it. On Smooth F1 too, no less. So if I guess it has to be colored in this case. And then putting it through a ramp. Okay, now I'm pretty sure this would work. So if I... try to remember. How did I do this the first time, chat? There we go. I have no idea why my brain just decided it didn't want to do what I asked of it. So, yeah, actually I do want this to be like that, and I want it to be overlaid. Or do I probably want it to be darkened, actually? Darkened. Hmm. I want this plugged into here. This is going to become a mess real quick, I can promise you that much, chat. Okay, so this will allow me to... Okay, I think I've messed up here, chat. So, if I put this on, noise is not going to work correctly. Not in this way, at least. So if I Control X this, Shift A, and add a bump texture to this. So that should show me... probably help if I connect it to the right thing. There we go. Oh, interesting. So this... needs to be put in reverse. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, so what's going on here then? Guess I just have to step through all these settings until I find one that works. I do need to be wary though, because the more of these I do, I'm going to encounter the same problem as I did during the catch streams, where the shading editor just basically destroyed my ability to stream correctly. Alright, so I think the main one is actually, the one that's causing the issue is the fact that I'm using bump in the first place, which is not ideal, admittedly. Well, it could be ramp too that's causing that issue. So, like, it's a good texture for plaster. However, I do need it to work a little bit better. Now, I do have a secondary option if these don't work out the way that I want them to. I do have, from my time doing GameDev.tv lessons, one of the things that I got with said lessons is a pack of ready-made procedural textures. The only issue I have with them is the fact that I know for a fact that if I were to open one on stream, it would just completely tank it. So I would probably like to do this as best I can. So, noise texture. Like, noise texture is fine. What I want to do is make smooth spots. So if I mix these in together, and that does that. If I were to multiply that, so that gives darker spots. So then that goes in here. And then I want the black spots to be basically completely bumpy. So save this much, right? In fact, I can even Control X this and duplicate this one. Put that to the height. So now I want to flip this ramp. So this position here is supposed to be 370. Sorry, 0.370 rather. So if I plug this into the bump now, okay, that's made all these pink areas bumpy. What I want is for this to be flattened and get rid of that. Nope. Just duplicate that. Interesting. So that has done something. So that's roughly the same. So now I want the bumpy parts to be there. But if I do this, it's just going to show all the bump being on the outside. So what I want to do is flip this ramp. And okay, really? There we go. So that should give roughly the same results. I will just extend this out a bit. Alright, so now if I plug this into the bump itself, I do need to minimize the distance on this. And yeah, it should be facing outwards. So now if I activate this. Okay, cool. So we've got the texture here, and then the outside is smoother, but not entirely smooth. In fact, I should actually adjust that to be gray instead. Actually, that's the wrong one. Okay, so what is this thing complaining about now? So we've got the bump there. So the real mission is trying to get... I'm going to set this to cardinal, I think. Yeah, that works a bit better. So the mission here is to try and get the outside to also have a bit of texture, but not so much that it picks up severely. So if I set this back to 1, so I can see the bright pink, and okay, so raising that up will do that. What if I added an extra... Okay, so that does nothing in this case. So if I do this... and I set this to be, say, black, right? Or like a really dark grey. So that is rather interesting. Do I need to mix this with another texture in order to get to work? I should hope not. I've been lurking for a bit, but just never said hi. Hey, Foxy, how you doing? I'm currently trying to figure out how the hell concrete works. So that is rather interesting. So doing that removes... Well, first of all, it gives this really weird, what almost seems like topography effect, but that's not what I'm looking for here. So I need to drag these back. I need to also drag this down. Ah, okay, here we go. Now we're getting the effect that we're looking for. So now, if I just keep adjusting this, we should get a relative... I'm alright, I guess. Is there something you want to talk about, Foxy, or would you just rather leave it alone for the time being? And that. So yeah, now this should have texture on the rest of the wall as well. I'm going to set the roughness to be, say, 0.75 now. Somewhat shiny, but not too shiny. And then I'm going to set this to be stone grey. And then set this upper stuff here to be slightly lighter. Like, not so much so, mind you. Although that does give me an idea of how I'm going to do, like, the concrete pouring effect. Just frustration with the internet, it never working when I want it to. Are you still having internet issues? That's rough. In fact, I was dealing with some myself earlier. Because for whatever reason, I guess it's just one of those days where the internet's decided it wants to take a break. Not the greatest, to be honest. So I sort of want to indent the, like this here, I want there to be an indent where the thing is flaking away. So in order to do that, I would need to set the multiply to a ramp. And then I need to set these two to a mix node. You set this to white. Also, I need to flip this around. Just move this along until it's roughly where I want it to be. That seems about right. So now I need to overlay this, I believe. Now that is an interesting effect, but that's not quite what I had in mind. So that's set all the way there. I wonder if there's a mix bump. Probably not, right? Like, there's no way that they would allow you to mix bump textures. Placement mapping. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I wonder if it's possible to mix off of a regular node. Probably not that easy. So if I mix this in, and I start moving this along, yeah, it produces an entirely different effect. So I guess I just have to deal with the fact that it doesn't want to do what I want it to do. So at least we have a vaguely concrete-like texture. I'll have to mess about with this a little bit further though. So I want to maybe scale these. Okay, not quite like that. Maybe 4D this one. Do I want to... Details of work, lenticular is not helpful. Maybe around here. Let's see how this changes things. Oh, interesting. Also, I fear that... Yep, there it is. I was concerned that that was going to happen. Sorry about that, chat. I did not realize that was going to go that way. Whoopsies. Oh, my poor computer is so bad with me. Now what is caused that, I wonder? And it's plugged into the entirety of this, which makes me think that running the Voronoi through the bump, like this 4D Voronoi through this bump here is probably what's causing that issue. So I'm gonna remove the 4Ds from all of these. I'm gonna turn this back on, see if it fixes things. Okay, it seems to work somewhat. So this has turned a bit watery, and this is supposed to be empty. So yeah, that's indeed like that. So if I really push up the strength of this, you can see where it's empty. And YouTube is complaining about the fact that I'm doing this. So I'm just going to switch that back off. Yeah, I know the stream is not going to be in the best of health, YouTube. Please leave me alone. I get it. Alright? I get the point. Also, you're like 3 minutes too late. So you can be quiet about that one. Just give YouTube a second to get its shit back together. Because for once, this is not my fault. YouTube is just being a bit of a crybaby. Something else I should do while I'm here is I should actually probably make a corrugated iron. So if I duplicate this and Y, I'm gonna remove the texture off this one for just a moment here. And focus on this while YouTube is just taking its time. So this is going to be used for the... So I've got warehouses dotted around the place. And I want to, you know, like make a nice corrugated iron texture for it. So what I can do is I can do checker deselect. And then just pull that back though. And voila, we have corrugated iron, more or less. Like, it's amazing how easy this is to do. In fact, I might even just give it a bit more detail. Let's go with 16. So, deselect. So this will be really good for when I get around to doing warehouse shenanigans later. And the shading for this one in particular is just going to be so much easier. So I'm just going to quickly, if YouTube would rather just not try to break my stuff. I have no idea why YouTube decided to make a great big screen, but whatever. YouTube, like, we are far past this being an issue. Can you please just stop giving me the notification? It's actually legitimately annoying. I'm just going to double check. Twitch side, you're not having any troubles with the stream quality, are you? And oh, fucking spell. Nope, no problems at all. Yeah, I think YouTube's just being a little bitch. Not that that's unusual, of course, but it do be like that. And then turn the roughness down to, say, 0.35 for this one. Set the metallic all the way up. Okay, now I know that's too shiny, so 0.6 maybe? Yeah. Like, some metallic, but not so much so that it becomes super shiny and reflective. It's not what I'm looking for, really. Now, I do want to have... I just need to quickly check. Oh, don't want to open that tab. So... corrugated metal sheets. So this is basically the stuff that I'm working with here, is just corrugated metal. Now, from what I can tell, most of these don't have screeds of texture. It does, however, have... Oh, now that's not actually a bad idea. Having, padded corrugated iron. I could easily make that with a Voronoi in 2 different colors. Otherwise, yeah, so this is the type of stuff I'm looking for here. So that looks to be a noise texture with 2 slightly separated colors. So probably a very tiny noise texture, probably within the realms of 1 to 2,000 maybe, in terms of scale. So if I were to chuck in a noise texture, now this one's a lot easier because I don't have to take normals into account for this specific one. Oh, that actually kind of looks like the streaky metal from earlier, but that's not what I'm looking for. Control T for the texture mapping. I'm gonna set this to object instead of, yeah, there we go. Alright, so scale of the noise. Let's set 500 at first. That looks similar to the image we were just looking at. Like, sort of this realm here. So maybe slightly larger considering I'm looking at a more cartoonish style. Maybe 300 for this? Yeah, and then I can set up a ramp for this one. And then set this all the way up here. Set this further down. Actually, I might set this to be brighter and pull the other one up. So there's like some texture there, but it's not blatantly obvious at first. Now, what's the refractive index of like corrugated metal? That's a really specific one. Try C first. C, copper, rhodium, cranberry. Wait, they have an IOR for cranberry juice? That's, and specifically 25%. That's really specific. Now, corrugated sheet metal, is it steel or is it aluminum? Because those are two very different things in terms of IOR. So steel's 2.5. Also, I should probably show this for the rest of the stream, what it is I'm doing. I have a list here from Pixel and Poly, and IOR is index of refraction. So you can like click on a letter and it will take you down. So steel is 2.5, but aluminum is 1.39 or 1.44. So I guess the real question is, yeah, it could be steel, could be aluminum. What the hell is quarton? Is that even on this list? No, it's not. Okay, so I'm going to go as far as to say steel. So 2.5, because this is an industrial application of this particular material. I was going to set this to 200. So there's a little bit more texture. Now, I can, instead of beveling this entire lot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bevel modifier it. So, bevel modifier, say 3 segments. And then like that. Now if I shape this smooth, this should be, yeah, relatively close. Although it does seem that the cuts that I have done here are actually not sufficient. So I'm going to Control X that. And I'm going to set this to 30. So check and deselect that, grab it in the Y. Okay, so YouTube has stopped complaining about me doing textures for now. So yeah, that's a bit more accurate to what I'm trying to do. So yeah, we've got sheet metal now. So that's one particular one I have done. Now, what else do I need? Go into layout mode. So I've got, move this to spears. Actually, hang on. We'll name this metal floor. And now we can move this to spears. Collection, spears. There we go. Now for this stupid bastard who has made my stream complain. Shading, workspace. So it's not complaining just yet, but don't celebrate too early, chat. Now, I do need to do something about this. So set that to be... Seems alright. So as long as I mess about with these settings, it's not going to be too bad. Ooh, okay. So changing the roughness does seem to help in this case. 0.75 for that one, I think. So yeah, you can see the detail where this is a lot rougher, and then this stuff here probably needs to be... Oh, right, because I've still got this. So I set this to, say, 0.5. So there's still roughness here, but it's just a lot rougher on these patches. And do I need to set the roughness on this? I'll just set it to 0.8 for now, just to make sure it's non-reflective. I think I'm getting somewhat better at materials, chat. So having like a couple different concrete textures would certainly help my case. Let's see, what other things do we have here? I'm gonna quickly open this up. So if I set this to multifractal, that certainly does something interesting. Just give it a second. YouTube may complain again. We'll see. Okay, yeah. See, this is the sort of stuff I was looking for. I do, however, need to readjust the section here to account for the extra details around here that I need to clean up. So, I need to... The detail probably needs to be tweaked down slightly. Or actually even just tweaked up slightly. Say, go to 10. Because the problem is not these internal bits, it's these external little flecks here. Is it coming? Yeah, it's coming from this. So I just need to edit this until it is roughly solid. Honestly, I don't think that's a bad texture, all things considered. Yeah, I think I did a decent job of this one, perhaps. Now I can just change up the scale to be whatever. I think this scale is mostly dictated by... What is this mostly dictated by? It's a mixture of the two, it seems. set this to be right back here. So now, if I do this, yeah, there we go. Now we've got concrete. So we just need probably like 2 different varieties of this just to spread out the sameness, basically. But yeah, this doesn't look awful. So, out that mode. We can get rid of this concrete wall texture here. And then set it back to this. Now I can... Do I not delete this? Okay, I guess I have to find the other object that uses that texture. So get rid of building blocks, bounce markers. It's probably in spares somewhere. It's not. Get rid of bricks. Where is the... Ah, here it is. So now, if I look at this... This abomination of an object. Delete that. And now I've got an actual concrete wall to work with. And then, like with this, I can just maybe make an alternative duplicate to it and then just change around some settings. We'll have a different type of concrete entirely. I can do that for a lot of these, actually. So, if I go back to layout mode, I need to bring back all of my objects here. Map confines. There we go. Now I can duplicate this and see how it looks on an actual building. So, D... There. Okay, so if I need to pull this out slightly from the building, just so there's no Z fighting like what's going on here. Need to put this. Ah, hang on, RZ. Okay, there we go. So that doesn't look awful. I mean, I could probably tweak it a bit to make it look slightly more cartoonish, but at the same time, like, having it be slightly more realistic, I think works. Alright, so what is next? I can duplicate this and make it into wall. And move that to the space collection. Probably wood would be my next best option. Now the thing is, I don't know if I could reasonably make a wood wall texture just with the shader editor. Probably can. But it's not a question of can it be done, it's a question of does my current skill level grant me the ability to do so? And I think the answer is no in this case. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to elect to make my own. So I'm going to 0.5 this. And now, I know the average wood plank is roughly somewhere within the realms of, like, basically 15 to 30 centimeters is roughly about what I'd expect from a planks, so 20 cm now. Now I can actually make this slightly bigger to fit the more cartoonish aesthetic. And then I can just scale. Scale that Y. G then Y, and put that right there. Actually, let's have a look at lumber sizing. Let's see, inch calculator. Okay. The nominal size is more than 1 inch, and the actual size is 1/4 inch smaller than the nominal size, and the nominal size is larger than 2 inches and smaller than 8, then it's half, and if it's 8 inches or larger, then the actual size of the ball will be 3/4 smaller. Interesting. I didn't realize there was such a size discrepancy when it comes to wood. Honestly, okay, can I just say, chat, that the ability to basically do anything in Blender is entirely dependent on your ability to not hyper-focus on specific topics. Also, I was more or less bang on with the estimate here. Let's make this, say, 4 centimeters. And then Shift S. Actually, no, it's set origin to geometry. Okay, so now we've got some wood to work with. So G then X. Actually, no. I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna say 3 cuts on this. And do I want to chip this? I don't think so. Not yet. I'm going to duplicate this first. And then this one, I'm going to just higgledy-piggledy the fuck out of this thing. So set that to around about there. And now we can just spout the seed until we get something more interesting. Yeah, roughly like that. Now I can do something like, say, this. So Control B. Actually, Control B and then add 1 quick cut to this. Grab these. I need to focus on this specifically. I'm gonna move this over just a smidge. And say this corner here. Control Shift B to bevel a vertex. Thankfully, this isn't meant for a game, so I don't need to worry too hard about everything not being perfect quads. Shift B to bevel that. But what I will do is just join that one there so the notch is a little bit more blatantly obvious. And now that I've got that, I can grab all of these, go back into focus, and just start messing around with these. So, piggledy that one, say 0.5, that's too much. chain feels like a good idea. Now I can duplicate these, move them up. These, X, maybe, Z, 180. Also, I need to make sure that all of these have their origin set to the geometry. I don't know why I forget to do that, but I do. And then I wonder if it would be better to offset some of these, just to have them like wrap around, but we'll see. Put that one up there, and that. I can actually move these around individually. So what I can do is I can just... Not that one either. Come on, Blender. I can just move that around. I could say Control Shift V this bottom vertex here. So it just looks different. Or Control Shift V that. Like really indent this thing. Actually not too much. Might be detrimental if I bevel that up too much. So now we join that, and then voila, we've got a different type of wood entirely. Get those. This might take me quite a few streams to complete this project, but I think it'll be well worth it once it's finished. Alright, got that. Let's say duplicate this one and start messing around with this, perhaps. Even loop cut across here and Control V that. Now the important thing for all these is I need to grab all of them, go into edit mode, and each of these will now not have just random loose vertices, which could cause texturing errors down the line. Say, Control that. This down. Touch that. And oh, sorry, chat. My neck and back are just absolutely decimated. I'm sorry. I know that sometimes the clicks can register on the microphone, and I feel bad every time it happens because not everyone is into hearing that sort of thing. What if I beveled one of these? No, because that would just make it look less generic, and like if I'm going to be repeating these sorts of things, then I don't really want to have something be too blatantly obvious. X 180. Z 180. And then I can duplicate this one. And all of a sudden, we have a wall made out of planks. Nice. Also, I think I called that pretty well with the width of the wood that I need to use. I need to make sure these are all basically consistent in terms of how far apart they are. Like, obviously there's going to be some error to them when they're all wobbled like this, but getting as close as possible is probably in my best interest. Okay, that one standard will be brought down just a smidge. Okay, move this one down. Just move all of these. There we go, we've got a wall. Now, the real thing is trying to texture these damn things. Now, there are two options I could go about doing this. I could sculpt the wood grain, or I can try to texture the wood grain. To be honest, I'm not particularly fond of the idea of sculpting in the texture, but if I need to, I need to. But we'll stick with shading for now. So I'll just focus on this particular plane. I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, just a generic one that doesn't really have much going for it, besides the fact that it's just wobbled slightly. So, say we're blank. Now the thing is, chat, I have no idea how I'm going to go about doing this. Because the last time I tried doing a wood texture was... Oh, this is just the criticisms from my 3D animations, which is fine. Where is my project files? Challenges. Okay. So this was the last one that I did, and as you can tell, the wood texture looks very questionable, especially compared to... Actually, I did mimic that, I'd say decently well, but not perfect, that's for sure. But anyway, my point is, like, I'm not great with wood textures. So, I'm going to assume a wave texture would be the best starting one to work with. So, start with rings. Actually, you know what? That's not too bad. At least so far. So, that does that. I'll just Control T this to make sure that I'm actually mapped to the object. Do X ring. So, that would give me a reasonable amount of detail that I need. I probably need to add just a smidge of distortion. So we've got that going. I'll set the detail all the way up. Set the detail scale to be basically non-existent. Because I don't want it to be too rough, you know? Detail roughness doesn't matter. The phase offset probably does, though. Now, the phase offset could lead to some interesting things down the line. Set that to about there. I'm gonna mix these together. Now, I actually want, instead of a straight mix, I want probably an overlay for what I'm doing here. And then this. What about the y-axis? Okay, cool. Bands, not really helpful, so rings it is. And then set the scale upwards a bit. Like, the point of this distortion is just to make it so there's a bit of intrigue to these wooden pieces. So probably around about 1.5. So yeah, that is relatively interesting. So now, if I mix these together... Okay, overlay is not the way that I want this to work. Darken doesn't help, maybe multiply? No. What about add? Okay, that doesn't work either for this case. So I think overlay is my best bet, but I just haven't quite tuned in the way that I want this to look. What about spherical? So that just adds these rings to it, but that doesn't help me in this case. So, how do I make it work? Maybe that much? There's got to be some way to merge these down so that they work the way that I expect it to. Because if I just mix this, it basically just completely takes over. Well, maybe darken? Playing DA for the first time in a while since the Easter event, and they added a fucking helicopter dragon. Literally, I wouldn't even call it a dragon, it's a literal... What do you mean they added a helicopter to the dragon game? They added it... Okay, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, Foxy. You better send me images of this, because that is just the dumbest shit I've ever heard, quite frankly. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. Like, a helicopter for real? I will literally show you. Yes, please do, because what? Like, huh? Like, what are these people on about? A goddamn helicopter in a dragon game. Like... I am legitimately flabbergasted. I wonder if adding a ramp would change it. Yeah. Oh, it kind of does, actually. I need to probably set this to... no, not in this case. There is your proof. Okay, let's see this proof. What? That is... Yeah, no, you're right. That is not a dragon. I'm sorry, they're touting this as a dragon? You're kidding. What in the... That is not a walking... I'm sorry. I need to show the rest of chat this, because what the hell is this? Okay, I can't pull this up directly on Discord. Is there any way to... No, I can't. Okay, so there's literally an image of. Well, sorry, Foxy has sent me a video of what is essentially a helicopter doing this little waddling thing along the ground. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't take them seriously, right? Like, a helicopter, like, a helicopter that has a dragon, but what is basically a skull for a cockpit. Bro, what the fuck has this game become now? For real, like the last time I legitimately played that game on a regular basis, the Easter Dragon had just come out. Like I believe it's called the Oranga, had literally just come out. That was the last time I played that game. They're literally taking anything and labeling them dragons now, for real. Like, I'm sorry, a helicopter? Like, I cannot with that game anymore. Wood planks. I'm just gonna have a look at some reference images here. Huh. I just need to pull up some reference images here, so I have a better idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so it seems like these grains here are actually lighter than the knots in the wood. So if I lightened these and darkened these slightly, it might work slightly better. Yeah, and like these are actually different. Sorry, chat, was covering you. And the fact that it was in a bundle for 1.5k Robux is wild. Like, that's fucking $30. Sorry, 30 New Zealand dollars, not USD. Like, that's probably like about $15. But 30, I think it's 35 New Zealand dollars for that is absolutely wild. Like, there better be a gold version of that helicopter include the bundle for me to even consider that pricing. Because what the hell? Okay, so I need to set this back to rings. Like, I basically need these to roll back on themselves. Like, I would need the maybe hands type. Okay, what? I didn't even know that could happen. I'm sorry, what the hell did I do? So if I set the distortion to 0 and scale... Oh, interesting. It's because it's set to object, I think. But no, a helicopter. I'm sorry, I can't get over that. A fucking helicopter. To be fair, there's also 2 potions, a backpack, and some dragon accessories in the bundle as well, but still, that depends. What potions? Because I know the potions in that game have a horrible, horrible tendency to be stupidly overpriced. Okay, so somewhat there with the texture. Like, I basically want these to, like, the texture of this to roll back on itself. So, I want this to be a repeating texture, more or less. Okay, chat. Can I tell y'all some funny shit that I dreamed about last night? So, an element potion specifically for the dragon and a color theme potion. Okay, that's alright, I guess, but I'm assuming the color theme potion is that god awful camo color, because if so, like, no thanks. Like, that's a terrible color scheme. The element potion dragon might be okay. It's been a while since I've seen the game, so I can't really make a comment on it. Anyway, I have come to the realization, like via dream last night, that Herobrine is the biggest dickhead known to man. And the only reason I say this is because apparently, first of all, he has a driver's license. Didn't know he had that. But this man not only, like, looks through a car park for parks by driving backwards and essentially backing up traffic, he fucking backs into parking spaces in a car park, and that automatically makes him a dick. Like, I'm sorry, but I cannot condone that behavior. Like, I cannot condone backing into parking spaces in a car park. Foxy just laughing his ass off over there. Like, no, for real. Because, like, who does that? Like, the only types of people who back into car parks, there's essentially... Hang on. Where's my animation? Oh. So, there's two... Oh, right, Can I please see my notes? You know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna set up a different one. Okay, so there's two types of people who drive backwards into car parks. And those two people are, one, people who cannot back out of a regular park. And two, people who have those big fuck-off Toyota trucks. My point is, if you can't back out of a regular parking space, or you have one of these huge ass, like basically fuel guzzling things that block people's line of vision in a normal car when you're in an intersection, either way, you should not be in a car park. Backing in especially. Like, I'm sorry, like, this is a hot ass take, but if you're in a car park and you have like a big truck or you can't back out of a parking space, maybe you should find somewhere that's better suited to backing into a parking space. Like the side of the road parking spaces where you have to 3-point into them. Like, that's fine. Like, I get that. But if you're backing into a car space, because people who do that also take forever. Like, I'm sorry, but you should not be in an enclosed parking space. Like, that's just rancid driving behavior. And this is really hot take from somebody who doesn't drive at all. But if you do that, like, I'm sorry, but you're pissing off the general public doing that. I'll just get rid of that now. But yeah, I personally think anyone who does that on purpose, like, if there's a specific reason why you need to back in, like, say if you're like a disability van and you want whoever is in the wheelchair to basically be on the ramp onto a footpath, that's fine, I can excuse that. But if you're just backing in because you're incapable of backing out of a car park, like, I don't know what to tell you other than maybe get better at driving. Like, this is coming from the person who cannot for the life of them drive. Like, even I wasn't that much of a terrible driver that I felt the need to back into a car park. Alright, so I need to figure out how to do the knots of the wood. Like, maybe the wave texture is not the way to go about this one. Let's say shift 8 add... What other... I... Maybe Voronoi? This seems like a rather weird one to pick for this job, though. Oh no, actually it might be fine. Depending. Okay, like, I could probably get this to work. So if I plug the distance into here... You know what? No, I could get that to work, actually. I need to ramp that, though. Otherwise, it's not going to show it. So, that along. Like, I know this is supposed to be cartoonish, but I'd like to have this be at least a little bit more reasonable. But I'm having problems getting the effect where it's, like, looping back in on itself. Like, that's cool and all, but I would prefer something with just, like, a little bit more detail like this. And what's the best way to do that? Like, it seems like the way that this particular set of wood works is basically just having the rings on, I think it's C, perhaps? I just need to scale this in such a way where I can actually see what's going on. I wonder if I have to set this to object in order for this to work. Okay, here we go. So, if I wanted to do this, I'd need to find a way to basically have multiple of these going on at once. I don't think there's a good way to do that. Let's just set the phase offset to 0. And I guess, like, distortion is the only way to go here, but it doesn't really work out the way that I want it to. So if I have this set to bands, right? Bands basically does worse than rings. And even, like, messing about with this, like, I don't think it's going to work out too well for me in this case. So maybe I have to draw the texture in. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to do that, because that just leads to some issues I'd prefer not to work with if I can avoid it. But it seems like the texturing is not going well enough for me to consider that. So that is fine. I'll just have to do the best I can with what I've got. Now, the best way to go about doing this is actually just to start with this particular plank. So I'm going to Shift D, move that up. I'm going to make this one plank HP for high poly. Now, I need to subdiv this, I think. Otherwise, I could use multi-res to go about doing this. I'll just save it incrementally so I don't break it. Well, if I do break everything inevitably, I'm not going to destroy my computer. Or the progress update. Let's do... I think multi-res works in this case. I just need a simple subdiv. Okay, I need to... First of all, I need to, like, get rid of all these. So I need to just keep hitting the simple button. Now, if I go into the sculpting tab and focus on this one specifically, this is what multi-res is for. So if I click on statistics, this is only 5,000, which is not nearly enough for what I want. So if okay, so I can see this now, 4,600. So I need to keep subdividing this. I'm fairly certain 73,000 should be enough, but I'll just try it for the time being. Because if not, I might have to subdivision surface and then work from there, but we'll see. Just pull this out. I don't know why it's not out by default. And this is in Mad Cat mode. I think I would prefer this to be probably square. Okay, that looks to be sharp enough. Now the real thing is, like, I just want to probably use more sharpness, or would crease better. I think crease might be in this case. So I'm going to turn on stabilize stroke for this. I'm going to set my brush as small as I can get it, while still being comfortable, of course. And then just start drawing along. So this will get me closer to the cartoonish look that I would prefer from this specific project. And I'm not sure if I need to be worried about the sides just yet, like the very edges of the wooden planks, but we'll see in just a moment. So that. Now the upside to this is I can actually do custom notches if I need to. So if I need to do so, I can. I can also flip this around. I have basically 4 different types of what is essentially just base for this specific piece of wood. Now if I shade this smooth, yeah, it's probably pretty good actually. So now what I can do is I can actually force this to be eyes in here. I'd need to really up the strength of this though. Okay, shift F and in fact, I think it'd probably be better if I just remove the stabilize stroke here. And then just pick random spots for where I can do this. Welcome back, Foxy. How you doing? I have decided that the shading tab was not good enough for what I'm doing here, so I'm just doing this by hand. Because I can just pick the texture up off the boards later. And that would just make my life a little bit easier. So now we've got that. In fact, I think this one here was just a little bit overboard, so I'll just... There we go. And then I can do a wood grain over top of that later. But yeah, Foxy, you missed my entire tirade of the types of people who should not be in car parks, especially in the general public. So try and point to that before I start doing that. To be fair, that's probably a hot take that shouldn't be on anywhere else except Twitch and YouTube. I know there's like some people who are going to be very upset with my take on that, but what can you do about it? I'm hoping I'll be able to actually get to go for a walk this evening, but it is also pissing with rain outside. So I don't know if I'd end up going all my stuff or not in this case. And then I can actually just notch the edge of the wood here. And to be honest, I think I might very well do that. I can, oh, by the way, did you see the FNAF PTB for Dead 4 Daylight was released? I saw, I believe it was on Reddit, photos of Michael Afton's corpse. Oh, sorry, William Afton's corpse, rather. I saw his feet are his guts. Is there some reference that I should be aware of here? Perhaps. Just set that to 5. I played it on stream today? Really? I'll have to go back later and see what it looks like. It should be enough knots, especially compared to the other side. Like, how was it? I assume, like, knowing you probably very much enjoyed it. They did so good on the Killer and the FNAF map, they made a map. I didn't realize they'd done that. I only saw the, what is essentially the internal of the costume. I haven't seen anything else beyond that. Oh, what's that? Still set 0.5, I should say. And then the very end, I think I might just etch across this for the sake of my sanity, because I don't particularly feel like doing rings. I am going to edge smooth this, I think. Okay, that's probably a bit too much. Maybe flat. I need to set this to okay, doesn't seem... Hence what I said about the internet earlier. Unfortunately though, if you go back to watch my stream to see it, you'll have to click on the next ones because the damn thing restarted 4 times. Unfortunate. I guess the internet really just didn't feel like working today, huh? Well, hopefully your internet works a bit better tomorrow. Let's off. I wonder what happened if I just... Oh right, because there's the pinch thing I can... That would just get rid of the thing. Like it would just sharpen the corner. It wouldn't do anything. Unless he restarts the router, I don't believe it will. I'm sorry, is there some reason why you can't restart the router, Foxy? Like, I just assumed that you had the ability to just access the modem whenever. That doesn't look like a whole lot of detail, I'll be honest. But to be fair, it's probably because of the setting of this thing. It looks okay. So what I can also do is I can create some notches around the place, but at that point, if I do that, I feel like it would just cause some issues. Just more specifically about the fact that it would just look too samey. So now what I can do is I can leave this mode. I can focus in on this. And then you're talking about the over-controlling here and here. I mean, but even still, like, I would think you would want to know if the internet was working properly. Like, surely the man has more sense. Actually, you know what? I get it. And I forget that my keyboard has an auto mute button. Whoopsies. Just fat fingered that for real. So. Yeah, I did for just a brief moment there forget who it was we were talking about. He doesn't let anyone touch anything under his control, and apparently, knowing the man as well as I do, who has no technological prowess whatsoever, has laid claim to the router. I'm sorry? I wonder what happened if I multi-scrape here. Not a whole lot, apparently. So I think I'm just gonna draw sharp on this. The only issue I'm having, right, and I think this is more of a thing to do with the multi-res, is the fact that I can't do anything about the edges of the board. Or at least not to any reasonable degree, anyway. Yeah, because it just bounces back into shape. Multi-res is more made for the situation where, like, you're only just doing minor details, you're not doing vast amounts of changes. So, is there? I'm assuming there is. Okay, this is a dangerous game I'm playing here, but whatever. So if I go back into sculpting now, yeah, I can, like, really smooth out the edges of this board. So, what I can do, he doesn't let anyone touch the thermostat. I mean, I wouldn't know anything considering the fact that I am quite literally fatherless. I just assumed that was the thing that most dads did, but yeah, I could see why it becomes such a huge issue, especially knowing that you and him have been arguing specifically over that particular topic for a while now. So I'm gonna... So that should soften the edges of this thing, but it also removes all the detail. Not a fan of that. Okay, so that actually just rounds out the edges of the board quite nicely. And now I can probably just redo some of the textures on here. Just to make it so it's not too samey. Right, now. Probably just stabilize the stroke. But yeah, I'm afraid, Foxy, that thermostat experience does not exactly equate to decent experience when it comes to actual technological objects like a computer or a router. And somebody does need to tell them that, but I am not going to be the person to do so. Accidentally told you not to. Don't really. You know what? That's good. And there. Hopefully off stream I should be able to get a little bit more done in terms of texturing. But I'm not going to be using textures from other sources unless I am truly stumped on how to do a specific style. Because like I have the texture assets there, I just want to be able to do things myself though. You know? Okay, turn off the stabilize. So check the other side. I do need to redo these ones because they're not at the correct depth. That's fine, it's relatively easy to hand trace these. Hopefully. And I do need to do some things. And then that sort of goes along the top, which is fine. Alright, cool. How are we going for time? We've still got a few more minutes here. And then this one here. I sort of just want to gouge out parts of the thing. Okay, so I'm going to do some remeshing here. Just to really redo that, so Control R. I'm going to have to probably do this a couple times, depending. I want to pinch these just a bit. Smooth it out, pinch this up. Okay, so we've got one notch. flatten this out. So we've got a bit of an indent going here. And I'll grab the pinch tool. Just give that a little bit of edge to it. Okay, that doesn't look awful. And then I can just do another one around here. So really just put a nice good notch in there. Finish that. And then pinch this lot out. Maybe at some point, chat, once I get a bit better at modeling, I might make my stuff available to download to 3D print. Like, I've been thinking about, because, like, one of the first models that I 3D printed, and, like, it's so god-awful. I'm gonna show you guys this in just a moment. Yeah, that looks okay. It kind of looks like a knot's sort of fallen out the bottom here. So there is actually a 3D print that I did a while ago. And I need to go back up to project files, other projects. Okay, this is like so poorly made compared to the stuff I can do now. But like, I still have this sitting inside my bedside cabinet. So I have like a bedside table, I have a cabinet stacked on top of it. But if I open this, and hopefully it should decide to actually load at some point. Yeah, so this is the model that I made. And like, you would think it'd be fine. But it doesn't translate too well to 3D model. Like, an actual 3D model. What I found is that all these parts here are just far too thin. So if I were to remake this, I'd probably make all these bits a bit thicker, maybe actually physically detail these bricks here. But, like, for the time when I was doing it, it was actually really good. So, I think that's probably enough for today, chat. I'll just go to layout mode. Alright, I do need to change the detailing of those, but we'll see. Anyways, ending off the stream. Do I have anyone to raid for Twitch side? I don't know. Actually, yes, the same guy from yesterday that I attempted to raid. Okay, I'll be honest, chat, I have no idea how the hell raids work. I just click the button, but sometimes it just doesn't appear to do what I want it to. But I shall give it a try anyway. That looks like a stick you could slap people with. To be fair, like, I suppose. Let's see. Point Crow. He is doing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So, you want to know how to raid? Yeah, if you could just give me a quick tutorial, that'd be great, Foxy, because, for whatever reason, whenever I click the start raid button, it just doesn't. It's /raid username. Wait, for real? Raid... Oh, okay, so he doesn't allow for raids. That makes more sense. Unfortunate, but what can you do about it? Anyway, I shall see y'all next stream, where I should hopefully have a little bit more work done on this stuff.